here on the program. Were you familiar with the old Salugi play in New York, where some little kid, would be the dead of winter, like 3 degrees outside, icy conditions on the streets. You would grab his little hat that was covering his ears, and then throw it around, and you throw it to another guy. As you threw it, and the guy wasn't able to catch up to it in the game of keep away, you would yell Salugi. Should the Salugi play be eliminated from NFL games? This has been a question plaguing us because it's turned around a bunch of point spreads in games. I mean, it ruined Bill Belichick's season. Should that be a ban, the Salugi play, from the National Football League, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. I don't remember the whole Salugi thing in Forest Hills. I think right? Mine. It's the same game except mine was Horowitz. They would just yell out Horowitz.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's the Jewish version of Salugi because this came from an Italian neighborhood.
Exactly. So I think I played that game, but just a different version.
Yeah.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Iron Eagle doesn't back away from any questions, that's for sure. I mean, the Salugi play in the NFL, it's going to lead to ruination and eventually the complete, extinction of the league. If they allow Salugi plays to continue to influence gambling outcomes. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you here. Best I felt so far this week. I mean, for a couple of days there, I felt like I was in the middle rounds of the Thriller in Manila there, and I happened to be Ali leaning on the ropes there, saying, "Hey, Joe, are you ever going to stop pounding the body?" Unbelievable, but good to be with you. Feeling pretty good today. Mike Lubie, Jeff DeForest here, and it's a Degenerate Friday, which is, I would have to say, the most celebrated day of the week here on the Defo Show. Well, we will have, we hope, our full complement of players on our Degenerate Friday lineup. The Greek has assured us that he is in, and always good for a conversation, the Greek, especially when it comes to advice about dealing with the opposite sex. What's that? Oh, I thought the Greek just walked in the door.
And decided to leave it up. Does your wife do this where she turns on every light to light up rooms that she's not in?
Oh, no, not so much. That's not her game.
She really wants the closet to be lit. She really feels like the closet needs light, even though she's in the kitchen, and that the living room needs light, even though she's in her office. And I don't understand. I didn't even know the light wants to be on. I just had to throw that out there since she's standing here with the door open.
Okay, you're issuing criticism on air to your wife, who's off camera, who's carrying you through this year where we're trying to get it together, both financially and morally, and psychologically. No, that's great. The Mustang has really, she's kind of gotten a little better about this. She used to think I was ignoring her because she would come in the room here and she tries to communicate with motions that don't mean anything, like a third base coach. It really is like being back on the Syracuse baseball team when Andy Mogus was flashing the signs from the third base box, and none of the signs were relatable at all because the circumstances could not possibly have dictated that it was a situation you wanted to bunt in, okay? 2 outs, runner on third. Not the time to put the squeeze play on there, coach. Now, as a 19-year-old, you knew that, and this guy was like in his 70s. He was one of those Syracuse coaches that had been there since Ben Schwartzwalder got the job. And, but she does that. She'll, like, do something like this, and you're supposed to know what it means. Meanwhile, I don't know that it takes any immense level of concentration to do this, but, you really do have to zero in on somewhat on what you're saying or try to. And so, and the other thing is with the now, it's not like you're doing radio where you could go, turn the mic off and go, "Hey, go fuck yourself." Because the whole game is to at least address the audience from a visual standpoint here and try as best you can to look at the camera, right? I mean, so, and if you're looking all over the place, it doesn't seem like you're really, doing the thing the right way. So Mustang will come in here with a dog and one of the two dogs and sit down and then start making a bunch of motions and then get mad at me because I didn't look over there and respond. I'm working 2 hours a day here in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. I mean, what is the big deal? Just leave me alone for those couple of hours, right? You know what I'm doing. If there's a commercial time out there where we can talk, I'll be happy to address anything you got. But, she's like that. Leaves with like a harumph type of message.
Well, and what's great is
Like you dick, you wouldn't even answer my question.
she's on the phone and you try to talk to her, she's mad at you.
Oh yeah. Right.
Shirley's the best. She has these meetings. Go. I'm like, I wasn't even talking to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Mustang's new thing is she has her phone stuck inside of whatever shirt she's wearing, and she's constantly on it on a speakerphone with one or two of her friends. Okay. And so then I'm asking her a question. She's asking me what happened with this medication the other night. I'm on the phone with like the pharmacy, and then the doctor is calling through, who never calls. And so I'm trying to deal with that. And I'm asking her a question, but she's still on the phone with her friends. Right?
I'm talking about nothing.
So I'm just like, never mind, man. You're no help. I mean, you want to talk to your friend, that's fine. But do you have 2 seconds you can address this? I mean, while I'm trying to figure out what to do about this situation, maybe get rid of this disease.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great. I don't worry about any of this stuff anymore, though. None of it bothers me. So it just doesn't. Once you hit like, here I am. I'll be zeroing in on 72 this summer. It doesn't matter anymore. None of this shit. I mean, whatever. I mean, your friends do something. It doesn't make any difference. If it's not good, I don't want to know about it. I really don't. Not that, unfortunate things don't happen and you have to address them. But, I got no time for all of this nonsense. Mustang had a thing today where her friend was mad at her because she worked last Friday. And Mustang did at this place, took a job for like a day. And then, she couldn't go to some lunch that they had arranged that she forgot about. And this was the special birthday lunch. So in the middle of like playing tennis, when this other friend of hers, who's like been a tight friend of hers for years, we've done a million things, with this woman, taking her to shows, dinners, everything, she's always reciprocated, pretty cool. But, nonetheless, and this wasn't something to get up hot and bothered about. She walks off the tennis court and now refuses to play tennis with the Mustang ever again. Mustang broke her heart by having a job the day that they were supposed to go to this lunch. Well, I have some weird stuff with my friends, but it never reaches this level of absurdity, does it? Is that only a woman thing? I mean, it gives guys a dim view of the way women conduct their business amongst themselves.
Look, when I was younger, I would get. I mean, like we all have lives and stuff. It is what it is. Like when we make plans, I always put it in parentheses because they have kids and they have this. So it's like I don't assume anything is set in stone.
Right.
It's funny, yeah.
So if somebody blows you off, unless it's like really, really vital, and you absolutely like you needed this guy's, testimony as a character witness in court, and that was going to be the thing that kept you, from doing time as versus probation. Okay, and the guy doesn't show up, you feel like, hey, what an asshole. They're carting you off to jail, but
that's douchey.
Yeah,
we're supposed to go to lunch,
and I'm supposed to go to a lunch with a guy. I don't give a shit if I go to lunch with, with this day or another day. What's the difference to me?
Why can't it be? I don't know.
Yeah. Makes no difference. Yeah.
Sorry for the tangent, everyone. I just thought it was funny.
No, women, they get in a snit over like the strangest stuff. I mean, and they're like great friends, right? They're constantly like not friends with each other and then friends again. Constantly. I'm not sure.
She's actually the friend she has, she's cool with. She doesn't like you, she doesn't like you. But I've had that in the past where like 1 week you're friends. So like, oh, you're like, how's Josie? Josie, screw Josie. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's like the time we got in a fight when we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with the billion plus that we were going to win in that Powerball drawing that was over $1 billion. And I said, well, we'll give like a couple of $1 million to your sister, bail her out of whatever situation she's in. She does all right for herself. And she looks at me with like a scathing look on her face. Mustang does, and says, "We're not giving a dime to Angie." I'm like, Mustang, we don't have the money. We're not going to win this thing. I mean, I think I had one number on 10 tickets. Not on all 10 tickets, just one number, period, out of the 6 that were drawn. And I had one of them on 10 of the, I had a total of 60 numbers there. It won. So there was no chance. I mean, we were so far away from actually, manifesting this thing into reality. And we're arguing over who's going to get the money. And I'm thinking, if I had $700 million, like how little can I give Lubie after 12 years of loyally, working by my side here and working through virtually all of the shit that we've had to overcome to do what we're doing today? Unbelievable.
I think it's funny. Like, first of all, it's fictitious, as we talked about. Second, it's sort of sweet of you to worry about it. Like, isn't that the angle she should think of? Even if she doesn't actually want to give the money, she go, good for you, Jeff. Thank you for thinking of my sister.
Right.
It's a thing.
But your first instinct should be to not tell her you hit the thing and find a way to get the ticket cashed and get the, hell out of the country. Maybe an extraditable place also. I don't know. Honduras sounds pretty good, doesn't it? All right, good to be with you at Degenerate Friday. We have a lot to address here on this Degenerate Friday show, and it's nice to be feeling a little bit better, although, it's not 100% yet. Lubie was suggesting, why don't I take a test, see if I'm negative? I think I'm going to hold out one more day because I don't necessarily want to, get the downward, feeling of, oh, God, positive again. How do I get rid of this shit? Because I feel pretty good, I would have to say. Yeah. And it was nice to get out there on a path. I was walking like Verbal Kent, though, again yesterday. Although the foot feels pretty good, and no residual pain there from the broken toe. Although I think it still remains like slightly broken, but I think it's very much on the mend, coming around to 100% recovery. So that should be good. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, the walking wounded. That's what we've become on this show. Yeah. It was funny as Mayo is younger, and Mayo's always. I just love that. I do love, and I don't mean to belabor this point with Mike Mayo, but I think he has all the apparatus available. Like, it's not his mom's. None of this is for his mom. This is him. It's like,
I would have to say he's a little mishugging with it, Like, if you're sick and if you're not, right? I mean, it's not like it's a secret if you have COVID-19. Although people have no symptoms, he has to be a little bit careful. But he is paranoid about himself. It's not like... he just thinks he has everything. I noticed that with him before we really got started with all of this stuff. When he used to show up for the outside shows, and he was heavily masked up. I mean, he had a ski mask on when he came to do those shows. And Jersey Kyle was on the show with us at the time, and we were both conscious of it. I mean, we had the hand sanitizer, and I kind of liked having hand sanitizer around. It was good. And the other thing that was great about that whole period of time is I was not sick a day for 3 years.
Yep.
Not one day. I was amazed at how long of a period of time I went without feeling even the slightest bit of, having a cold or anything along those lines. But anyway, all right, good to be with you. Let's get to what we need to, because the Greek's going to join us here in a few minutes. And then we'll get into what we hope is a complete roster of guests, although you're saying the professor is questionable on the injury report based on the fact that he had action on Gonzaga last night, which you're saying Gonzaga got upset. And I've noticed a trend with the professor, because I asked him once, I recall, I was looking at some old texts as I was texting him the other day. So scrolling through the roster of texts there, I saw that I had asked him while I was in Atlantic City about if he liked any games, and he liked Gonzaga that night. And I said he liked Gonzaga +2, and Gonzaga ended up getting, I think they got buried that night. So anytime, is it fair to say, anytime I don't know that he's the biggest Gonzaga fan, but every time he bets him, it seems to turn out,
like 15. Like, is LMU Louisiana? Like, I don't know who LMU is. Is it Loyola Marymount? It might have been Loyola Marymount.
Okay.
15, and they lost by 1. So I presume he was on Gonzaga. Now maybe he had Loyola. I don't know.
Let's hope so. Yeah, he'll be in a much better mood if he did. And more likely to make the show. After, watching, that's a disaster, too, when you're laying 15 points and your team can't get out of its own way. So hopefully we'll have the professor with us. Mark Lawrence should be along, and Mark had to have a good weekend because it was upset city there, especially those 3 games on Sunday, all going to the Dogs. And I believe Mark had laid out 2 of those Dogs, including the New York Giants, to us last week on the show. So he's been doing very well with the playoffs.
He was 2-1 last week.
2-1, okay. And then the aforementioned Gambling Gourmet Mike Mayo, if he's well enough, will join us in the final segment of the show. He's probably got like a heat pack on his neck there, and
they talk about
cold compress on his forehead, trying to just get himself ready. He's like the guy between rounds, that's been roughed up in the 8th round. He goes back to the corner, and they got the towel around his chest there, and they're working on his eye. He needs a cut man as much as anything else. No?
It must have been fun when his ex-wife was pregnant. Like, he's the king of sympathy pains. You feel weird and are on the mend, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm dying." It's like, dude, you didn't even see Defo. You haven't been around.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I was the one that was legitimately sick. I mean, I don't think there was any, arguing that. And I was surprised to the extent that it actually was something. I really was. No
Yeah.
matter how horrific I was feeling. I was like, yeah, this is nothing. I'll shake it off. But and then excuse me too. Like I said, the only time this thing is actually bothering me is when I first start talking in the morning. All right. So I'm going to lay out a little bit and get the Greek going here on the show. Just quickly, we couldn't come to any conclusions on any of these games yesterday, Lubie. You tried to. I'll give you credit, man.
I was
No, I
trying.
will, because it's so weak. And this goes back to an early premise that I picked up from the great Joe Zagacki when I first started doing this stuff here in Miami. And there's a tendency of hosts to want to be liked by everybody. Okay. Nobody in this business. I guess there are people in this business that deliberately go in it to be despised, right? Like Skip Bayless, right?
Yes.
Is deliberately saying things so that people will react and say you're an asshole,
Yes.
Skip.
Yes.
I'm not sure that Stephen A. Smith does the same thing, because he literally has become the definition of a caricature of himself, where his show starts and he's on there, especially if he's got like Michael Irvin or somebody that wants to go scream for scream, or like that embarrassing time that he and Teddy Atlas were analyzing a fight after a fighter got screwed on the scorecards, and they had like a screamathon, literally like a scream off. So who could out scream the other guy as they were standing there? And I thought, well, this is wildly entertaining, except for the fact that who the hell would want to follow this, right? I mean, do I really want some guy screaming at me on my radio or television? I mean, I don't need that, right? I don't tune in to have somebody yell at me, right? That was always the thing about these announcers that are screaming, "You don't know nothing about football," right? It's like, hey, there you go. I'm hitting the button right now, man. It's not necessary. Right. I mean, would you really want to drive to work with some guy that was just screaming at you and saying you were an asshole the entire time? I guess people like this sadomasochism.
Exactly.
It's being inflicted upon them by various sportscasters. But we couldn't come up with anything. So let me see. I don't know that we have even a lean.
Well, I had lean. I was very chalky. Like, I feel bad that I'm so chalk. Like, I like.
Yeah,
even
and that's not happening, and all four favorites are going to win.
Especially with the spreads. Like, look, the Chiefs and Eagles can win, but the Chiefs haven't covered any spread that big. So why now magically are they going?
They've covered the last couple of spreads that they've faced, and they were almost double digits, but they did cover their last couple of point spreads. 8.5 over the Jaguars. That would be the one. Actually, I'd be tempted to lay, which is weird because they're so suspect against the point spread. The Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Jaguars are going to bounce a little bit off that comeback win. And they are coming back against a team that didn't have to play last week, who was looking fairly sharp before they went into the break, and seemed to handle this whole situation in a very professional fashion. They knew what the week off would mean to them, that it would be a plus. And I don't think they're going to come out like, remember when, the Peyton Manning-led Colts came out ice cold against the Jets and ended up losing that game after having a bye week. And it does happen where the team that had the bye week ends up not having a very sharp effort a couple of weeks back, later when they come back on the field. But I don't know that the Jaguars are that good yet. I mean, let's not get carried away with who the Jaguars are. They showed incredible improvement in the latter stages of the season. I mean, they had a 3-7 record. They ended up making the postseason. And look, Trevor Lawrence is a good story, mostly because you didn't think he could be that bad when he came into the league. He was one of those guys like Andrew Luck that everybody said, well, if anybody's going to make it out of this class, it's Lawrence. And he went number 1 overall, which was the right call. But then, this crackpot owner of the Jaguars hires Urban Meyer to be his head coach. And no one in their wildest imagination could have anticipated Urban Meyer being that bad of a head coach.
No.
I don't think, I mean, it's one thing for a college coach to not be able to make it in the pros and make the adjustments, but to be that horrible at coaching football on top of it, not being able to relate to the players, and then on top of that, having zero grip for the professional game, ruining a quarterback that looked like a can't-miss, surefire cinch proposition, who showed that he was capable of doing much better, where he not originally sunk to an abyss by the coaching tactics of Urban Meyer. So, I mean, I give them all the credit in the world. I don't know if they're ready to take this step and be within 10 points of the Chiefs. Bengals probably would be the play there on the dogs, getting 5 and a hook. I think that's a good one. Most people are convinced that the 49ers, as you are are vastly superior to the Cowboys, and that Cowboy game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers serves as somewhat of an illusion because the Cowboys in reality aren't that good.
And the Bucs stopped.
Yeah, the Bucs were a very hard team to watch this year. They really were. I mean,
they were under 500 in the worst division of football.
And even their wins. I mean, they had 3 miraculous wins.
Yeah.
So they could have easily, let's say they lose 1 or 2 of those games. I mean, then not only are they out of the playoffs, but I mean they're well sub 500 at that point. So I'm not sure that I buy the Cowboys win over the Buccaneers as being so convincing. But and the 49ers look like they're rolling. But as pointed out by Brandon Lang, they can be scored upon. I mean, it's not like they don't give up points sometimes. Teams go in there and they've scored 30 on the 49ers. So
yeah.
If that happens, I mean, the Cowboys offense looked razor sharp once they got going against Tampa Bay, who that team wasn't inclined to give up a ton of points either. They were in a lot of low-scoring games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It wasn't like they were giving up like 50 points a game or anything like that. But they were getting scored on virtually every drive by the Cowboys. Toss-up, but I probably lean towards laying the 4 there with San Francisco. So we've told you nothing.
I'm just chalk. I feel bad.
I don't know why. I mean, the New York Post has convinced me that the G-Men will win this game outright.
See, look, Andy's been on the Giants, and a lot of people have this thing for the Giants, and they're probably better than I'm giving them credit. And they played the Eagles close, and the whole rivalry thing. I don't know.
The last game, though, was a real aberration. I mean, it's hard to judge that game. The Eagles had some of their starters in the game, including Jalen Hurts. They only won at 22-16. It was a late backdoor cover that got the Giants, within 6 points there, and they covered the point spread. But they didn't play any of their players. So people are saying, well, if they didn't play any of their starters, then they're within 6. But I'm not sure that Philadelphia really went all out in that ball game either. So tough one to say, that you can make a judgment by. But almost everybody has the Giants taking 7.5 points. All right, big Giant fan coming up. The Greek going to be with us right around the corner. We'll be back with the Greek in a moment, and then our full complement of Degenerate Friday guests in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:23. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Young blood in the announcing booth. It's a possibility. They've gone with the hot chick theory, which, works for me, as they say.
Of course.
Yeah.
When I go down to Miami, that's all I do is I put the weather on. I shut off the sound. It's awesome.
Yeah, it could be snowing outside. You don't care. You don't want to hear what the person has to say.
It's now time for the Defo Show. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. A Degenerate Friday underway here, and it's going to get into full force as we welcome to the show our first of our many degenerate guests here on these Friday editions. And the streets of Boca used to be very sedate a long time ago, before this man made his arrival here on the South Florida scene, and they just haven't been the same since. We welcome to the show the Greek, ladies and gentlemen. Greek, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. What is happening? Getting ready for another weekend of NFL football. Going to be at Strikes today, golf stream tomorrow. Nice. So we're jacked up.
Very nice, man. Well, what are you, just hobnobbing at the track or another Greek show out at Gulfstream Park?
Tomorrow with Tito's.
Nice.
Oh, very good, sir. Very good. Will you be giving away or distributing any free bottles?
Maybe in the trunk tomorrow. I got a new game I'm playing with my friends. You would love this, Steve. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
It's 2 guys or maybe 4, but 2 preferably. And you call the same number. And whoever doesn't answer for the other guy, you lose $100. Is that awesome or what?
You're unbelievable.
I made 600 the other night.
I made 600.
It's a good idea. Yeah, no, that's great. Fantastic. Now, what if the guy doesn't answer for either? It's a draw?
Oh, then it's a wash. It's a wash.
Okay.
Because you go to voicemail. It's a little tough on the ego.
Yeah.
The other night I called some guy's wife, and she answered for me and not him.
That should have been 2-1 or maybe even higher, no?
It was a circle bet. You can only bet a nickel.
Okay. So there are no prices involved here. It's just straight up even money, no juice, no vig.
$100. $100.
I like it. All right. You know what? You might want to trademark that because that's something with TikTok. Yeah, you might end up being a multi-zillionaire. You can get out of this whole radio racket that you're in right now. By the way, what shows can people catch you on? We have people that constantly are bugging Lubie and me and saying, hey, we love the Greek on your show. So where can we find more Greek?
You can find me at New York Prime.
Yeah, holding court.
Holding court. 92.1 FM, 10 to 2. And then the Gambler, 3 to 5 on 12:30 a.m. every day.
How's it going with the Gambler, man? What's happening with that station? Anything good?
Oh, no, it's a great show. You would love it. It's all gambling. We're a Visa network. I have handicappers on, about 6 of them during the week. They all break down the games. Today we got Rob Vino and Drew Martin calling us from Vegas. And, the stuff that you and I were talking about 15 years ago that everybody's doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. It's, catching on all over the place. I finally realized that. Remember when you used to cringe anytime you mentioned gambling? I'm sure you had your various meetings with Grace Blazer where she said, are you going to go on that show and talk gambling again? Because we're trying to discourage them from ever mentioning it.
Grace was super cool. She left me alone. And most of my bosses did leave me alone because they knew if I got mad, I could get them fired.
You had power. You had pull because you were bringing in a lot of money on your sales job. But we just got dirty looks all the time. We got that look of disapproval, are you guys ever going to get it together here? It was great.
You guys had a great run. You did fantastic. And adding me was like adding another sister to the Kardashians to your show.
Yes. I mean, it really just was expanding on a theme that we had already, exacerbated out there to its limits. But nonetheless, we still have fun doing it. All right. How did you make out last week? Lubie has his tabulations there, but he has yet to give me a number here, and you seem fairly confident. Oh, 2 and 4. Okay, we didn't want to mention last week. How you feeling about this week's card there, Greek?
I'm good. I mean, I like the over in the Chiefs game. I like the Chiefs first half. I also like the Giant over, and I like the Bills.
Okay.
You right on.
You're with a lot of people there.
I'll give you a little trend about the Bills. The head referee. Okay. For the Bills game, the Bills are 8-0 and 8-0 against the spread.
And is that one of the Pagulas is refereeing the game? Do they have a son that's in the NFL officiating crew? Because that's a pretty odd number.
They're 8-0 against the spread, 8-0 against the game.
Wow.
Wow, unbelievable. See now, and I was starting to lean towards Cincinnati, thinking maybe the Bills kind of.
They got a lot of injuries. Their front line's all banged up. 3 guys. Bro,
Yeah.
last week he only had 18 yards as long as pass. I'm not saying they can't win.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. It's football. Look at the Jaguars and the Chargers. And last week there was a rumor going around that some guy bet $1 million second half on the Chargers and lost $1 million. That was not true. That was false.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Because he wouldn't have gotten much of a run for his money there if he had the Chargers in the second half. Since
that was the whole point. He was like betting $1 million to win like 11,000. It was like some stupid.
Yeah,
that
was not true. Yeah, we got to debunk that. We're a reputable situation here with gambling, so we don't want to have fake stories.
How good do you feel about your G-men, Greek?
I think they could cover. I mean, Hurts has only played 1 game in 29 days.
Oh,
Philly's good. I'm not saying they're not good, but if they play away, Jones is good. I mean, he ran his ass off last week, but Philly's got a better defense, obviously.
Yeah, I thought Daniel Jones looked great last week. Lubie hates Daniel Jones. He thinks he sucks.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think he's great, but I thought he played a very good game last week.
He played great last week.
No,
those teams, you got to put a spy on the quarterback, like the Dolphins did with Josh Allen, and take that away. Now the Eagles might do that, and then it's going to be all Barkley, and maybe Fran Tarkenton has to come back. So we'll see.
They did fire their defensive coordinator, the Vikings, after that ball game. So and it was unusual because, like you said, without the spy on a quarterback, Daniel Jones had like 18 yards to run, before anybody was near him. Every time he took off with the football, and that middle of the field was just absolutely wide open the entire time. But he threw the ball well in that game, a lot better than I've seen him in the past.
Yeah, he went crazy. He was like one of my ex-girlfriends would have had a Gucci sale.
Good stuff. All right, so you don't know if they're going to win, but you're like a lot of people. Most of the handicappers I see kind of like the Giants getting the 7 and a hook there. All right, and 49ers Cowboys, an odd game for me because
no decision. I mean, I just watched it. It's going to be a good game. Go either way.
Okay. Because
ex-girlfriend.
I didn't know what to make. I mean, the Cowboys were so impressive after their first 2 possessions there against Tampa Bay, but I mean, is it fair to compare what they did against Tampa Bay against what they might be able to do against the San Francisco team that at times looks invincible on defense, but at other times looks highly vulnerable?
I mean, the thing with Dallas, Prescott had such a great game. I mean, you know how people are. We all go by what we saw last. Everybody saw Dallas doing really good. And, I think that their defense played well, but the Niners are good. I mean, they got a quarterback that when he goes to the stadium, they think he's working for Apple.
Yeah.
You don't even know who he is. I mean, this kid. I mean, but he's got one of the best tight ends. He's got Samuel, got McCaffrey. I mean, and they got a very good defense. I mean, can Dallas beat them? Yeah. I mean, I think it could be, but I would lean toward the points.
All right. Who are you rooting for to emerge from this week? I mean, what would you like to see, Greek?
I did bet the Chiefs a long time ago to win it all.
Okay.
Vegas.
What kind of price?
So I like it. 4.5 to 1.
Very nice. That's what I was thinking, about 5 to 1. All right. So you're in good shape there.
I'm not in good shape. You get screwed on the championship game.
Okay.
Because the way I look at it, and I'm being serious, a neutral site game, Kansas City would have been home.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit that's not great. But listen to this parlay. My buddy puts in yesterday, and I mean, it's not going to happen. But this is just how people like to hear stories. He bets $100 he bet $500 on the parlay, but $100 parlay, 4-teamer, all money lines, all underdogs. Jaguars, then the Giants, then the Bengals, and then the Cowboys. 100 pays 7,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, but not going to be an easy thing to accomplish, man. We tried to make a 16 parlay last week with the points, and we would have been 2 and 4. So
Yeah, but I'm saying a 4-teamer to pay that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Good. I mean,
all money line though with the dogs. That's
it's not going to happen, obviously. But I'm saying the good thing with all this stuff, what people really don't realize, is that if you go to a sports book or someplace and you sit down with a pen and paper and just look over some combinations, you can find some good paydays. Like even if you took out one, Just say you took out one, and say you went with Dallas, the Giants, and the Bengals. All right.
Right.
On $100, it's still pay about $4,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go get a couple of sticks out of the ATM machine and go see Louis the Lipschitz.
Oh, that's a nice.
And the way to do it is, and I'm teaching you here, people, is that you bet the Saturday 2 games and a game Sunday, and then you could hedge, and then you walk away with money because you're betting money lines. You're not betting the spread.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a nice system there. There's nothing better, right? We would have been in a powerful position after Saturday. We would have been 2-0. But we would have been buried there and lost in a sea of chalk. I mean, we were like belching up milk of magnesia as all 3 dogs prevailed on a Sunday card. So that would have been rough for us. All right, where are you going to be taking in the games, Greek? What do you have on the agenda?
Well, tomorrow I'll be at Gulfstream, and then I'll probably be at Strikes. Watching the games, hanging out. We're going to be there live. I hang there with my friends. I met your buddy up there.
Oh, very good.
Your friend that I met. That's where I always hang out, right around from the Funky Biscuit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's where you met Dylan, the great Dylan Rossi. Yeah, real good guy.
What do you think about Alec Baldwin? You think he goes away or what?
What is this? I don't get the
Nah, I don't think so, man. I you know what? It seems.
Put it on him.
Yeah, I mean, they hand a guy a gun on the set. I mean, he was involved as a producer, so does he have some responsibility for the people that were working on a film? Maybe. It sounds like a civil suit to me, not a criminal case. I can't imagine that Alec Baldwin came to work that day saying, you know what? I'm going to grab a dummy gun here. It's supposed to be shooting blanks. I'm going to kill a woman that I've worked with for years who's working camera here on this low-budget film. Shoot the producer also, and then I'm going to go home and say I never pulled the trigger. I can't imagine there was any criminal intent whatsoever with what happened there. Are they responsible to some level? Yeah, but they settled the suit with a civil suit, so I'm not sure about the criminal charges against him. So I think that's although the other guy there were 3 guys charged, or 3 people, and one of them pled guilty to lesser offense.
He's also a guy. If he goes to jury, he's got to watch, because I think he's more of a. You take the public opinion from people who don't like him.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, the guy's an actor, for God's sake. My first thing, if I was a defense attorney, is like, how many times have you handled a gun in a movie, right? And the guy says a couple of hundred, right? He says, how many people have died as a result of a live ammunition being in a gun? And the answer would be 0. So the guy had no reason to assume that there was a. I mean, why would there be a bullet? That was a regular bullet anywhere near this fucking place? It's unbelievable, right?
I agree. It's some crazy. I mean, Lisa Marie Presley passed away. That was unbelievable. So sad.
And David Crosby, man, did your dad have anything to do with David Crosby's singing career? Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Didn't you cash in on that at Capitol Records?
I obviously I knew of them, but Lisa Marie I met at Graceland years ago.
And
very, very nice.
You never dated her?
Nice. No, I wish I did.
Yeah, I mean, she took Nick Cage over you. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he wasn't around. It was sad, though. To me, that stuff's sad. I mean, when people got problems, drugs and stuff, I'm being dead serious. It's sad. You have everything to live for.
Yeah. We just saw this. I don't know what your philosophy would be, with the Greek children, if there were Greek children. I know you had a couple of stepkids there for a while, but we were talking about this the other day, where Marie Osmond is not the first to do this, but declared she's not giving any money to her kids, no inheritance money. He doesn't believe in it because she thinks it softens them up too much. And then, they just live wishing for the day that their, parent checked out and where they could have an easy life.
I wouldn't do that. I would make my kids work. I would make them work. I wouldn't be like, I'm not going to give it to you and I'm going to give it to some friggin' stranger. I'm not going to do that or help, some other charity.
Feral cats, all of a sudden inherit like $8 million. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not doing it that. I mean, also maybe I set them up on some kind of a trust where they would get X per year.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. I know a lot of people do that and say that. And I don't even know if I believe that they do that, because who knows when you read their will. Like they always said, I'm not giving my kids anything. I don't know if I believe it. I don't. I think it's a little BS that they want the public persona to look at them, and I'm trying to teach them. Be a good parent and teach the kid every friggin' day to go out and work.
Exactly.
I mean, bust your ass. I mean, that's what you teach. You don't teach them, oh, I'm going to die. You're not getting anything. I would look at them and go, why am I in this family? I'm not getting anything.
Screw you.
I'm going to give the kid the money right away, man. If I had it, it's like, here, you're 8 years old. Here's $12 million. Just don't worry about a thing.
I mean,
do whatever you want. You want to write poetry, somewhere, that's fine with me. Whatever you want to do.
The only one I heard got screwed bad was Cooper on CNN. His mother was Gloria Vanderbilt.
Oh, Anderson Cooper, yeah.
Yep,
But he had his own cash anyway, yeah.
Yeah, he had his own stuff. But that would bother me. I mean, I'm not, it would. I mean, if one of my parents passed away and they had millions of dollars and left me nothing, like for what reason?
Yeah, the Vanderbilt money.
I don't know. Everybody's different. But I would like to see one of their wills after they die. Then I would believe it.
Yeah. All right. We want to see something notarized. All right, very good, Greek. We appreciate it. Good luck with all your plays. Have fun out there. We wish we could join you at Gulfstream on Saturday. Lubie will be out there later on today. Unfortunately, I had to take a pass on this thing because I got hit with the COVID stick. But, coming out of that. I had it, earlier this week. I was really struggling with it, but now I'm okay. Good, fine. Pretty much 100%. So,
I worry about you.
Don't worry about me. I mean, it's the geezers at Caesars. The 71-year-old guy probably shouldn't be getting this stuff, but strong like bull, man. I bounced right out of it, and
good.
It looks good for me. But I don't want to be around anybody for a couple of days, just in case, right? Because you're touching machines, and it's just not fair to the general public that you got something.
I was supposed to go out with this girl last week, Friday night. She called me like 7:30. And she goes, I got COVID. Do you still want to go? I said, I'm going to pass.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He's like, sure.
Yeah. Why don't we swap some spit and, see what happens here?
You kidding
Unbelievable.
me?
I was backing up. Do I still want to go? No, I don't want to go. I mean, like, what are you kidding me? That's serious. Do you still want to go? Because I understand if you don't want to go. I said, yeah. I'm like,
yeah. Maybe next week. See what you're doing next Friday. Free your social calendar.
She goes, I wanted to be honest. She goes, I could have just not said anything. I said, yeah, that's true, but I'm not going.
Did you ask her if she had herpes also?
Exactly.
Did she have told you that?
No, I just asked her if she ever got paid for sex. Absolutely not. I said, well, then I don't think we have a future.
How much would have been the question. All right, Greek, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for joining us. It's always great. And good luck on all of your ventures over the weekend. And I'll talk to you again next week. The Greek, ladies and gentlemen.
I love you, bro.
All right,
be good, Lubie.
We love you.
All right. The professor is okay after, I guess he did have Lorella Marymount.
I don't know who he had. I just know he's awake. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
If he's in the mood or not.
We'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of that. It's a Degenerate Friday here. Hialeah Park. Don't forget about this. I think Mayo's in this thing. Did he sign up for the handicapping tournament?
Is he a handicap? He does that? I don't know. Oh, I mean, I know he does it on Fridays, but.
No, he handicaps. He has a feel for what he's doing. Everybody has their own approach and theories. But his are pretty solid, right? I've been with him a couple of times where he's come up with horses, and he gets, the occasional good tip on that outfit out of Colts Neck, New Jersey there, whatever, Colts Neck Stable. And, I think, the guy's been going to the horse track. That's how I knew him, because he was a sick degenerate when he was writing sports for the Sun Sentinel years and years ago, right? We would cross paths. I say, hey, I respect that. This guy's in here pounding away, sending in money on exactas, superfectas, trifectas, things that in a million years you could never hope to hit. But we do it. We go every day thinking today's going to be my day. We're going to make a big score today. It's going to be great. So I think he's in. Gurgles, I don't think is going to be, a participant in that. But it'll be a lot of, the thing is, it's not a huge field, but it's a good field. So, there's plenty of money in a prize pool, plenty of opportunity to make money in the Hialeah handicapping contest. It's January 29th. It's coming up a week from Sunday. And it's going to be right after the Pegasus is run Saturday at Gulfstream Park. You're going to handicap 2 tracks, Gulfstream and Aqueduct, and compete against, I don't know, I think they might have had a field of was it 50 last time, something like that? And if you win a seat to the NHC, which is 2 weeks down the road after that.
That's it.
And you're off to Las Vegas. Now, and I don't think you have to go in this year's, if you can't make it for some reason, you can save the ticket and have the seat in the following year's tournament. I believe that's the case. But nonetheless, it's one of those deals like we were talking about. One of the greatest radio promotions I ever took part in was when they used to have you bring your own suitcase And if you won like a wet T-shirt contest or something, you grabbed your suitcase and they whisked you right off to the airport and sent you down to some Caribbean vacation. It was great, but you didn't have time to go home. You had to bring your stuff, whatever it
Right.
was. There, you were going straight to the airport, and that's kind of like what this is in a sense. In that, yeah, wow. I mean, you're going to turn right around and be in Las Vegas for the NHC if you win the thing. Plus, you're going to have a big boatload of cash and all of the prize money and the distinction of beating all these other handicappers. There's a lot of ego involved in horse race handicapping. Just go to the track sometime with Georgie Animal Steel, right? And try to convince him he's wrong about something. I like when you know what, this always cracks me up in a track situation, right? So you have 20 to win on some 5-2 shot. Maybe you bet them at 3-1, 7-2, and you figured, okay, I'll take the $90. I could use it. It'll help my bankroll at the time, keep me in a game. I think this horse is going to win. I don't want to mess around with exactas, trifectas, any of this other stuff. Okay, so the horse wins. It goes off. It pays like $720. I'm picking up $72. And then the guy who was dead wrong, whose horse finished last, who was insisting that you bet on, like the 10 ball, tells you, that your pick was worthless because it only paid $7. It's like,
You paid.
yeah, but my pick won. Yours is paying $0. I don't care how daring you are. In this particular case, you couldn't have been any more fucking wrong. Right. Hank used to do that to me all the time on the air. When and I never forget this. When Mike Nyman was working, well, he wasn't working at the racetracks then. He was just like a horseman. And I think he had another gig going. And he comes up to me while we were doing the 3 Live Jews on the air at Calder Racecourse. Me, Hank Goldberg, and Eddie Kaplan. And they had us set up down there like in the lobby when you came in. And we were doing a radio show. And Mike tells me that this horse, Russian Sweetie Pie, is going to win, that first-time starter. So I pass that along to Hank on the air and to Eddie K. Eddie, I think, made a small wager on the horse. I had the horse to win. The horse won, paid like 7-something. And Hank, who completely denounced the pick because it came from me, then it was like screaming, "Oh my God! Look at this chalk you're giving out!" And I'm looking like, Hank, the horse was a first-time starter. He won. I can't help it that the public and everybody else jumped on this thing, and you told me to go fuck myself. I mean, what do you want me to say?
There can only be one winner. As long as
how is it better to lose? Yeah, exactly. How is it better to lose?
But if it wins, then okay. It was a good call.
Gotta give it to the guy, right? People are insane there, right?
They're crazy. Your degenerates are crazy. You guys have weird standards. And
there was a horse a long time ago, became a good stakes horse called Game On Dude. My friend Cliff Collier, who was a jockey agent, saw me the night before and told me this horse can't lose. He was racing for the second time at Gulfstream. Had run one start prior and goes off and wins at 460. I told everybody to bet this horse. And then, I'm catching, like shit from people. I paid $460. That's what you're giving out? Like I told you, a horse was going to win and he won. What do you want me to say? What other horse won that race? None of them. There was no dead heat. You couldn't do better than to give the person the winner, could you? I don't know.
You people are crazy.
People are nuts.
You guys.
Anyway, that's how it is. It's a Meshuggah mentality there. A lot of ego involved in handicapping. And, maybe yours is big enough to think that you're better than everybody else. Or you just want to take a shot. And, it's a life-changing score if you, cash even in the top, like 3 or 4 in the NHC. And they pay down to a lot of places. So you can walk away with a lot of money there. And it's a heck of a lot of fun. So it's worth taking a shot. Get down to Hialeah Park. I mean, all you have to do, you could probably register that day, but I would imagine it's very advisable to register in advance. Get the entry form at HialeahPark.com and enter for the Handicapping Championship at Hialeah Park, January 29th, with a seat available and a passage for 2 and accommodations for 2 in Las Vegas for the National Handicapping Championship. All right, coming back with the professor in a moment in the big board and some college basketball and selections that we can probably count on making some money with as well. Back with that in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's 7:50.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I had 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. A Degenerate Friday underway here. Jeff DeForest. We got Mike Lubitz, who you did get a bunch of shirts from your relatives there, your in-laws, for Christmas.
I had kids last year, but yes.
Okay, because you're starting to dress a little better on the show. I kind of dig that. The professor going to join us here on a Degenerate Friday, and you were listed as questionable earlier this morning, Professor, and not that the reason wouldn't have been valid if you didn't make it. Late night action on the Gonzaga game. Was Lubie correct in making that assessment that put your possibility of showing up on the program today in jeopardy?
And Arizona and UCLA. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so he's tired.
How'd you make out? I mean, were you on the right side of those things? 2-1. Okay.
Did you have Gonzaga or did you have LMU?
Yeah, no, I had the Zags who went down in flames. It's not a good year for the Zags. So I thought last night would be the turnaround after they nicked BYU last week. But the other two went well, so can't complain.
Is Drew Timme a pro? Is he destined to be a professional basketball player in the United States?
Yeah, I would say it might not be in the United States.
Think Europe?
Yeah,
that's what strikes me. Yeah. Like Yugoslavia, he's going to be playing somewhere.
Yeah, he seems like a dude who might clean up. Not only does he have the game for Europe, it's weird because if you go back like 20 years, the Euro leagues where guys like Nowitzki started the 7-footers, the stretch fours.
Yeah.
And now the Euro leagues like post players a lot more than the NBA does. You go look at Spain, and the Gasol brothers really reshaped that league, which is probably still the top league over there. And that they like classic big men now. And and Drew Timme, he's got both a classic post game working for him, and he also looks like the lumberjack on the paper towel rolls.
Yeah.
So the European chicks dig that. It's very stereotypically American. So he can probably clean up on both fronts, the basketball and the off the court front over there.
Yeah, well, when I watch him, I'm thinking, this guy's ticketed for Europe. I don't know if he's going to be an NBA player. What about the guy from Purdue, Edey, the big 9-foot guy?
Just because he's such a shot eraser, and there are NBA teams who still want that rim contest. I think the worst case for him is that he could have a very Rudy Gobert-like career.
He's not horrible. I mean,
he's got a little offensive game. He's got some touch around the rim, but like I said, he's just so big and such a rim protector that, I definitely see him having a future in the league.
All right. I see Houston is the number 1 team. I haven't seen them play. So, I mean, does that make sense that they should be atop the rankings in college basketball?
Houston's been the same team they've been for about 3 years now. The Final Four run a couple of years ago, and last year a very solid run despite coming up a little short in the tournament. They're a weird team in that they have size everywhere except center. They don't really have a true big. Their big goes about at 6'7" or 6'8", but every other position they are bigger than average. A bunch of 6'6", 6'7" dudes. They rebound really well. They're very streaky off as opposed to consistent offensively. They probably take too many threes for most people's tastes. But when it works, it works. And I mean, on defense and rebounding, they have been probably the best team in the country for like 3 years now. So, yeah, I mean, Kelvin Sampson has done a hell of a job there. A guy whose career looked finished a few years back with the NCAA troubles, but has really rebounded at Houston and has them, I think, probably ready for another deep tournament run. I mean, if you're asking me now, I'd say they're at least a Sweet 16 team, if not a good bit deeper than that.
That's great. I mean, that's great about being a college basketball coach, men's college basketball coach, is no matter what level of disgrace or scandal you've been involved in, it is not an inhibiting factor.
Well, let's not go that far.
No.
We're going to find that out with Chris Beard. I don't know that Chris Beard is coming back, or if he comes back, I think he might have to go the Bruce Pearl route where he drops down to like Division II and has some.
Yeah, because I was watching Pearl with Arkansas, and he's having a good season with these guys.
Again, but Bruce Pearl, Kelvin Sampson, we're talking about guys who had more conventional NCAA trouble. Pearl at the time was considered a huge scandal.
Yeah.
But his was a deal with a recruit where a recruit went bad and Bruce Pearl kind of ratted on other coaches and was very much ostracized. Beard's like a whole different level, and we now live in a world where, particularly at the college level, domestic violence just is not tolerated in the least. And from what I understand, when the trial comes around, there's going to be some very ugly pictures involved with the with the Chris Beard situation. That he did some ugliness with the wife that night, and we're going to probably see the art on it. So we'll find out if you can truly come back from anything in the college basketball ranks. In his case, I would bet against it. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah. He doesn't have the same level of privilege that Dana White does, where ESPN completely buried that story.
We talked about it on the show a couple days ago. I think it's because ESPN and everybody knows, like, Dana White's fan base doesn't really mind domestic violence that much.
Seems to be a common practice.
If you're a UFC fan, you're probably kind of pro domestic violence, if we're being honest about it.
Tattoos depicting, domestic violence,
exactly,
are very much in vogue, even if they're on the neck area or somewhere.
Yeah, like you're the kind of family that actually like plans it out. It's up on the little chart on the refrigerator.
It's shame to be laughing at this, but true.
Jiu-jitsu class, have 16 Keystone Lights, slap the wife around a little bit. That's
perfectly
Friday
acceptable.
night at the house.
Yeah, I mean, you're void from any kind of, negativity and punishment and that kind of action by the UFC.
Speaking
contractually.
of negativity,
yeah.
Can we talk about this? We're now in 2023,
yeah.
and you're still playing that goddamn Pacino clip every time I come on here, or at least like half the time when I come on here. And now he's got this Hunters thing out, which Lubie told me about last night. So I came home and I watched the first episode of it. Can we go back and point at that gambling movie and say that's where it just truly fell apart for Al Pacino?
He wasn't bad in that one. I mean, he hadn't hit rock bottom in Two for the Money.
Questionable things up until that, and he had definitely embraced the, well, I don't act anymore, I just randomly scream.
Yeah.
And that's now acting for me, is just randomly making my voice go up like this for no reason. That's acting.
Well, I mean, that was what was that movie?
Scent of a Woman, and then Heat. Yes, he started screaming about asses.
TV, yeah.
I mean, and so it's going downhill. But I feel like Two for the Money is where like it just hit rock bottom. Like I don't.
I saw that movie as a classic.
Randomly yelling, and I'm getting a lot of plastic surgery. So I was never the best looking actor, but increasingly I'm just weird looking. So I feel like Two for the Money definitely could be the point where Al Pacino bottomed out.
I don't know. I mean, Jerry Piven, maybe this is maybe a little bit of a tell that you're onto something, because he seemed totally embarrassed that we were fawning all over him because he was in that movie, and maybe he also realized that.
And this is a guy who is now
the beginning of the end for
Pacino.
Yeah.
Yes. You know it's bad when a guy who's now doing hair club for men commercials views that movie as not something to be proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was starting to get angry with us because we kept referencing.
People was talking about him being up for an Oscar, and he was like, "Oh, you're so funny," and that's when he made fun.
We
of my
compared him to Olivier. Yeah,
it's like Defo means it. He loves it. And
that and Rounders, two of my favorites. Although Rounders, I think, was overall a much better gambling movie. by
Oh
far,
no, but
and
again,
far ahead
right
of
in the
its
middle
time.
of it, and I love the
I
guy,
hate the accent.
but definitely a low moment for John Malkovich in that movie. And Matt Damon
Yeah,
tells the story
Malkovich
about how
took a check there, no question about
Which
it.
is his accent sucks.
Matt
Yeah.
Damon loves to tell the story of how Malkovich literally made that accent up. Like as they were filming his first scene, I guess Malkovich was doing a different movie
Yeah.
and flew in for Rounders and sat down at the poker table to film the scene. And it was the first time Damon met him, so he was intimidated because it's John Malkovich. And then Malkovich breaks out this accent.
check,
And he's
check.
like, do you like it? I just made that up as we were sitting down here. Yeah. So I guess gambling movies don't really have a good history with that.
The classic original with James Caan, The Gambler, I think was great. Wahlberg really messed it up when he made the remake.
No comment.
It lost all of its Citizen Kane type qualities as a degenerate movie of some merit.
Hey, look, you're going from James Caan to Mark Wahlberg. What the hell do you expect?
Caan was brilliant in the Gambler also. That was a classic.
He really was. That's a great movie. There's some others. Obviously, The Hustler would probably be most.
Oh yeah, Jackie Gleason,
number one
fantastic.
all-time movie. Although I don't know who actually shoots pool for money anymore. There's probably some people who actually.
It was big back in the day, though. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah,
and not uncommon. Go ahead.
I get it was big back then, but like the whole concept of like hustling in pool seems kind of ridiculous now, right? Because if you go to a place that has a pool table and someone actually wants to play you for money, don't you assume that person is just secretly awesome at pool? Like, aren't you constantly expecting if someone is actually willing to do that you shouldn't do it because they're going to kick your ass?
You would think. Are you intimidated by the guy that has his own cue stick?
Oh, 100%.
Well, it's kind of like
100%.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, because like if you go bowling, most people that bowl
It's like if
have
you're
their
in a
own ball.
bar and a guy pulls a deck of cards out of his pocket, you shouldn't play fucking cards against
No, that's definitely.
That's the same thing. If
Rule that
you're
out.
bringing accessories, you're probably pretty fucking good at it. Like,
Yeah, a guy that just
the
happens to be
chances are
schlepping a
your
cue stick.
odds aren't great
Yeah.
if you're talking about dice at a bar and a guy just, I happen to have a pair of dice in my pocket. Would you like to shoot some craps?
Why don't we shoot a little
Like
craps?
your odds aren't good in that situation.
It's funny, and pool has a little bit of form to it, even having had pool tables at various times in my life, I always sucked at it, even though I have a good eye in other sports. I'm a good shooter in basketball. Can throw tennis, balls pretty much where I want to hit them. Hit baseballs all over the place, but
See, I actually think it works backwards.
yeah.
I think if you go to somebody's house and they have a pool table, because I've had pool tables in a good number of places I've lived in, the odds are the person actually sucks. The odds are the person has actually gotten bored with pool.
Just bought it for the furniture.
And doesn't play, and just like I had a hole in the room.
Yeah.
And I got a
And it
pool
looks
table.
cool. Yeah, it really does look cool.
It absolutely looks cool.
You have like a bar area, like
What was that movie where I think it was who's the the Hustle, was it the Hustle where they were sleeping banging chicks on the pool table? What was that movie? Burt Reynolds movie. Wasn't he banging chicks on the pool table? And that made everybody buy a pool table that was single and male at the time. And you would put it like right in the middle of your living room, and that's that was the furniture and decoration.
The only one where I remember a pool table was that Jodie Foster rape movie, and that was pretty dark. So I don't think that's what you're going.
That's
for.
probably not the inspiration for buying a pool table. All right,
but no, I'm just saying it's a weird thing. Like if you go to someone's house and they have a pool table, you're probably okay to play against that person because it's usually that person has just got the pool table for furniture and they've played it for a while and they got bored with it. But again. If you go into like a bar or some random setting and the dude breaks that, there's a classic. There's a Fresh Prince from Bel-Air where
his Uncle
Will
Phil
is losing like $1,000 to some pool hustler, and Uncle Phil walks in and gets the shit beaten out of him, and then they're like, "Well, now let's play for $100 a ball." And Uncle Phil has the butler break the pool cue out of his pants. You're like, "Oh, Uncle Phil knows how to play pool." So like. Yeah, never play against a guy who brings his own stick to like random public places. It's probably not going to work out for you. But like I said, if you're in a bar and a guy like busts out a deck of cards out of his pocket, you don't want to play whatever game that guy's playing. Like it's not going to be good for you.
Usually a losing proposition. I mean,
Honestly, it's like three-card Monte. Like, when you see the guy win at the game of three-card Monte, you automatically know the next guy up's getting screwed. You don't want to be that guy.
It's like buying a used car. Unbelievable. The guy gives his friend a deal, and the next guy up, don't worry about it. We're going to take it out on the next guy. He's going to get clobbered. All right. Any picks, any selections before we get into the big board?
Yeah, I got a few tonight.
Okay.
We got some MAC action. Ball State going to Kent State early. Ball State getting, I believe it is 9.5. Would like the Cardinals there to take the points. Then you got Richmond on the road. Excuse me, VCU on the road at Richmond, laying 1.5. People know the Spiders' name, but it's hard to figure out this line here. VCU's actually played really hot the last month, including a win over Dayton a couple Fridays ago, which is impressive. So definitely look at VCU minus 1.5. And then the team Vegas can't seem to figure out, which is New Mexico. Lost a couple weeks ago on a thin line right after they got ranked at Wyoming. Then came back this week on Monday and beat the hell out of San Diego State on the road. They go home tonight against a pretty solid Boise State team, but a team that's much better at home than they are on the road. So would definitely look to New Mexico there. I think laying 2 or 2.5 are the numbers I saw. So Ball State early, VCU, and New Mexico late.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds excellent. And, best of luck with that. The professor, by the way, always outstanding when it comes to college hoops over the years with us here on the show. All right.
By the way, I see these guys in the chat, Mark and I think it's Sarney there talking about the portals on the number of transfer players. But let me just remind all college football fans, when it comes to this portal stuff and the NIL stuff, and I agree, it is getting absolutely insane. The teams you're fans of caused this. It is your team's fault that all of this is going on, because for 30 years, the players just wanted a little piece of the pie.
Yep.
And
Right.
instead of, cutting the players in for a little food money, little money to send home to mom and dad, couple $100 a month, that kind of deal. Which, if you remember, we had PC's friend, the lawyer, always such a great guy. And Quentin Williams, the great Quentin Williams, come on the show and talk about it. And he was talking very reasonable numbers, $300 a month, $500 a month, just enough for some food and send home. And the NCAA, instead of that, wanted to make tight end coach a $2 million a year job.
Right.
So now, everybody's lost their mind and the sport is on the verge of becoming complete chaos. College football coaches, athletic directors, it's your fault. Like this was the inevitable conclusion. When you can't come to what is a very reasonable solution, you're going to get the very unreasonable solution eventually. And that's where we find ourselves with college football.
Well, and you have situations where quarterbacks are going to make more money by staying in school for another year than they would in their rookie contract.
Honestly.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Stroud
really considered it.
Supposedly, Ohio State was trying to raise $50 million to get him
keep
to
a
come
quarterback.
back.
Wow. Nice money, to have walking around campus. That's for sure. I was happy to get the $3 they gave us when we had a road game with the Syracuse baseball team.
Again,
and that went a long way back then.
Again, I think if you had come up with this solution a decade ago, you would be talking about something along the lines of $1,000, $1,500 a month to put in these guys' pockets.
Yeah.
But like I said, instead you decided, tight end coach and special teams assistant coordinator should be 7-figure jobs. So, like I said, it's like anything else in economics. When you fail to come to a reasonable compromise, the radical compromise is eventually what you're going to get.
Witness Lubie's favorite, sports drink company, Celsius, now having to pay Flo Rida $82 million instead of the $39.
And he was only asking for 30.
It was 30 grand.
30 grand. All right, we have to get to the big board because we have a lot of things to, enter into this hour here. We don't want to compromise any of your time on that one. And so here's the professor and this week's edition of the Professor's Big Board.
Well, we had a lot of things happen this week, as we do every week, Defo. And this week there was definitely a theme for a lot of people, including some local interest, and that is the big board of the week in bad finishes.
This is what we needed to address here. I think you're onto something very important. All right, fire away, Professor.
They say it's not how you begin, it's how you end. And some people in sports had some bad endings this week. Just for example, remember when Tom Brady was a champion quarterback who had a beautiful wife, had a loving family?
Look at this picture.
This is only number 5. That's great.
As opposed to being a guy who throws horrible interceptions in the red zone and makes out with his children and has to take time off in the preseason to get plastic surgery. I can't imagine what kind of freak show is coming for Tom Brady next year if he decides to return to the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to show up in training camp with the duck lips? Like, I'm just saying, in the history of the bad, there you go. Exactly. I couldn't play in the preseason because I needed to take time off.
He was in Boca.
Although I will say, honestly, looking at this jacket here in the picture, and this picture was only taken 2 years ago.
It looks like something Michael Jackson would wear to court. You know?
I'm glad you used that comparison because this goes a long way to making out with his own children.
Yeah.
This jacket here seems to explain a lot.
And to find an old legal principle that any lawyer will tell you, don't come to court if you're the defendant dressed like Captain Crunch.
I'm just saying, look, I don't care how big a Tom Brady fan you are. 2022 wasn't really a good year. Like,
no.
Very embarrassing showing. I mean, really, while the Dallas kicker was doing everything he could to give that game away,
yes,
Tom Brady still couldn't capitalize. And again, capped off by that interception in the end zone, which was so bad, like a Dolphins quarterback could have been involved. I couldn't believe that.
It was shades of Jay Fiedler. Yeah, it really was. Yeah,
like lemon.
And that takes us to number 4, which is I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but Alabama basketball player Darius Miles arrested this week for murder.
Oh, yeah.
And by all cases, seems to be that not only was he arrested, he's guilty as hell and going to prison for the rest of his life. Doesn't seem to be much doubt.
Doesn't look good.
It's a slam dunk case. Alabama defending this by saying, yes, but we cut him from the team 2 weeks ago when we found out.
I love that. I saw that in the paper that he was no longer with the team.
He wasn't actively an Alabama player.
Yeah.
He hasn't been an active.
I think Windhorst reported that. Yeah.
Yes, he hasn't been an Alabama player for almost 2 weeks at this period of time.
Like Urban.
And that's not actually my favorite part of this story. My favorite part of this story is that the Alabama basketball coach, when he was having discipline problems with him earlier in the season, brought in an outside consultant to try to help him with Darius Miles, who we knew had some legal trouble. And do you know who the Alabama coach called and asked to give Darius Miles a call and talk about his situation?
No idea.
Jim Jordan.
It was Ray Lewis. He called Ray Lewis in.
Ray
Lewis.
To talk to give Darius Miles a call and talk to him about his situation with a murder trial, which I guess really isn't the worst. I mean, if you're going to bring in somebody as a consultant when they got a murder trial coming on,
right.
Like Ray Lewis actually isn't the worst person to consult on that situation.
No,
in fact, it might be Ray Lewis's area of expertise.
What are these bloodstains on this white fur coat?
Again, it's better than calling in Ray Caruth, right?
Close. Yeah, close.
I personally,
Caruth's out now. He's available.
I personally think I might go with OJ, and OJ probably would do it on Cameo for like $50 at this point.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like Ray Lewis, if you're going to call in a murder consultant, Ray Lewis is a pretty good dude to go to, actually. So it's funny, but it actually works.
Yeah, sound.
All right, that's number 4. Yeah, these are bad innings.
Well,
from 2022 or already happening in
Defo,
2023.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you go out to the track, and let's say you hit a big bet. You hit a big pick 3. You cash a signing ticket. Mm-hmm. What do you do to celebrate that?
Oh, good.
Right to the bar.
Right to the bar, have a couple drinks.
Yeah.
Maybe up to Christine Lee's for a fine meal.
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe take the Mustang out for a night on the town, that kind of deal. Maybe not that.
Just give her a couple of steaks and tell her to hang out with her.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe not that.
A couple of steaks for the machines for the Mustang. But I'm saying you go out, you have a proper celebration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
How would you finish your evening doing that?
Probably passed out somewhere.
There you go. Nice home.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
So how do you think Trevor Lawrence celebrated one of the third biggest comeback win in the history of the NFL playoffs.
See, I was impressed by this. I'm not gonna lie.
He took his wife to the Waffle House.
I thought it was
the common man.
Which-
I mean, is greatly loved in Jacksonville.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't hate the Waffle House.
At least it wasn't Olive Garden.
But I would like to think if I were a starting NFL quarterback, I'm not finishing up at the Waffle House.
Some people can't leave their roots, no matter how sophisticated you would think their life had become.
Let's also be honest. There's a couple things, and it's our label here, which is it's the perfect ending in Jacksonville, Florida. If you live in Jacksonville, your end of evening options are somewhat limited.
Yes,
and the
yes,
Waffle
right.
House
Yeah.
is definitely in play.
That's
number
probably
one.
a happening spot, like a disco. It would be.
And
down
number
here.
2, let's remember the most important factor about Trevor Lawrence, which is that Trevor Lawrence took his entire signing bonus in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was $60,000. So now at below $20,000, and you've lost a third of your signing bonus, and that's if you cashed out, and we don't even know that he has actually cashed out yet.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence may only be able to afford the Waffle House.
He was cursing that Bankman-Fried guy when he went to offer the
paid your taxes on your signing bonus and taken all of it in Bitcoin, you may be spending a lot of evenings at the Waffle House. The idea of you having your own private chef at home to make your meals when you get home and have a celebratory dinner with your wife may no longer be in play for Trevor Lawrence and may not be in play until he gets that second contract.
Did Brady recommend he take that bonus in Bitcoin? Or his idolization of Brady led him to believe that Tom was right about this
Yet
stuff?
another area where Tom Brady has had kind of a rough
I'm surprised
year.
you left that out, Professor. I would have thought that was an automatic connection. All
I
right,
feel like doing the child molester jokes. I've taken enough shots at Tom Brady.
He was on the big board this week. All right, that's a good one. My brother lives in Jacksonville, and I understand where the Waffle House might have been actually like going to Monterano's. And having Steve personally open the place back up at 2 a.m. so you could have a meal like you were Rick Pitino in that little Italian joint in Louisville.
Oh boy, you're really trying to bait me.
I
didn't know. I
You're
threw a lot of
really
things at
trying
you
to
all at
bait
once.
me about Coach Coat Hanger there.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was not meant to be a knuckleball, in the middle of the
sweet.
big board, because we were evolving nicely to number 2 here.
You served him a meatball.
That would be like Eddie Feiner, throwing one up there, in self-team pitching.
All right,
and
let's
just
move past
giving you one
that.
you could
We'll
slap down a right field
probably
line.
cover that in future weeks about college basketball. Now that you've opened the door on it, but we're gonna let that one slide and go to a local hero, a man who did amazing things on the basketball court, a man who actually has an avenue named after him in the city of Miami, a man who the city of Miami renamed their county after for one day after they signed him, who is having the most pathetic post-playing career in the history of pathetic post-playing careers, and once again embarrassed himself this week. This time, fortunately, it was not with his wife embarrassing him in public like she loves to do. Dwayne Wade goes to Marquette to celebrate the anniversary of his 2003 Final Four run along with his Marquette teammates. At halftime, they have a beer chugging contest, and you can see here, not only did Dwayne Wade lose to Travis Diener, who's like 5'10" and 130 pounds, Dwayne Wade had half his beer left at the end of the beer chugging contest. That's how bad Dwayne, and why? Pretty clearly because Gabby doesn't let him drink beer.
I'm gonna say, is he not drinking beer?
Yeah, of course he's not drinking beer. His wife won't let him. Like, again, is there anybody who's having a worse post-playing career than Dwayne Wade? First, he has to move into LeBron's house in L.A. so he could be LeBron's pool boy because LeBron had him cut from the Cavs. Oh, no, I'm just going home. No, LeBron didn't want you on the team anymore. Then he goes and does College Game Day, and they don't even let him talk. His wife does the entire announcing. Then he does this, maybe the worst game show in the history of game shows. A game show so
that thing
bad,
is ugly.
it
Wow.
got kicked off of TBS after like 3 episodes. And you know why? Because his wife is the executive producer.
That was one of the worst quiz shows I've ever seen on TV. I mean, I'm watching it one day because it's Dwayne Wade, and I'm thinking, this show sucks.
And now he goes to Milwaukee to celebrate his college days, and he loses a beer chugging contest to Travis Diener by half a beer. Like, he's not even, like, I mean, come on, half a beer in a beer chugging contest? What are you sipping this like it was? You look like Defo with his Chardonnay there.
Hey, babe. Yeah, I mean, things do seem to be going in the wrong direction for the great Dwayne Wade, who was well loved and liked by everybody, because and deservedly so for the way he comported himself
Let's not go with
with the
everybody.
Heat.
I mean,
Well, maybe not you, but I mean, you got in a fight with the mascot, so I mean,
I
I
loved
don't
him
know
till
that.
the first time he left, but he completely betrayed the city of Miami, and then came back and tried to make it all about him.
Yeah.
Not a fan, and I would say, if we're being honest, once the Heat moved on, things got a lot better. Like that whole
This
last
is true.
year
Yeah.
where we were doing the Dwayne Wade victory tour was kind of pathetic, if we're being honest about it.
You're absolutely correct on that. No doubt about it. It did seem awkward there, you know. I mean, who fights for Pat Riley? But he kept taking less money, so Riley could do other things. And then, you know, while Riley had rewarded other players like UD. I mean, how is UD still on the roster 20 years after his playing days were over? Because he stayed with Miami.
To take less money to do it. You think Dwayne Wade couldn't be on the bench for like $5 million a year right now? He totally could.
Yeah, maybe
but
so.
Again, facts are Gabby probably won't let him do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go back to Miami. No.
Who's more whipped,
we have
Wayne
to go to
or
LA
Lubie?
so I could have the eighth role in a bad movie.
Yeah. Who's more under the Svengali-like control of their wives? Dwayne Wade or Mike Lubitz, in your opinion?
Lubie.
Professor?
No, not Lubie. Dwayne Wade.
Wade. Over Lubie? Get out of here.
Question.
He watches the Super Bowl on his cell
Compared
phone while
to
she's
Dwayne
watching
Wade.
Oprah on the 72-inch screen.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
But I don't have any money.
At the end of every show, when you're rolling credits, does it say executive producer Shirley? Because everything Dwayne Wade does at the end, executive or producer Gabrielle Union.
Yeah.
Shirley's not involved in anything I do.
And it's not like Gabrielle Union was ever this big a star. She was like the fourth person in Bad Boys Part 6.
Meghan Markle, probably had more celebrity status.
Now, that's a good question.
Yeah.
More whipped Prince Harry or Dwayne Wade?
Oh,
I'd
well,
have to
I mean,
go
come
with
on.
Prince
That's
Harry
a no
on that.
contest.
You're talking about a dude who, like 10 years ago, was literally killing Taliban in Afghanistan, shooting machine guns off of a helicopter, and now carries his wife's purse in public.
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah.
Why? Because she was the fourth star of some series called Suits on the USA Network 20 years ago.
Probably more well known for being one of those suitcase girls there on that stupid show where you pick the, which suitcase had the most cash in it.
Didn't she quit that after like 2 days because they were trying to make her a sex
Persecuting.
object?
Yeah, she was a sex object, which was the freaking job.
Yeah. Notice they didn't have a lot of fat, ugly guys holding those suitcases. Right? I mean, who would have watched? Nobody would have watched.
You're holding suitcases in a bathing suit. What the
made,
hell did you think this gig was? You thought you were doing Othello in the middle of the show for some reason?
It made Dwayne Wade's quiz show look like Concentration or Jeopardy. I mean, it was so bad. All right. That's number two.
Number one. And City of Miami, we need to have a conversation. South Florida, we need to have a conversation. Because I know some of you were actually very enthusiastic about this. But number one, the curse of 1972 rolls on for the Miami Dolphins. Finishing, of course, on a play where the Dolphins couldn't get out of the huddle on 4th and 1. And I've heard a lot of excuses about this on both sides. I've heard people who want to blame Mike McDaniel for sending in the play late. I've heard people who want to blame Skylar Thompson. I actually sort of do lean to the Skylar Thompson blame because, look, I get you're a third-team quarterback, but you've been the starter and getting starter practice reps for 2 weeks, and you can't get your team out of the huddle onto the line on 4th and 1. I mean, that seems a little excessive to me. But really, let's point the finger of blame where it really needs to be, and that is the 1972 Miami Dolphins. We used to have a very blessed franchise once. We were great once. I was 1 year old when it happened and couldn't really enjoy it, but we had a great thing going. And then what happened? You guys acted like douchebags for the next 50 years, popping your champagne and talking your shit every time a team lost a game. And guess what? By the time it happened with Mercury Morris, where Mercury Morris is screaming, "Talk to me when you're on my block. Talk to me when you're in my neighborhood, not when you're in my city." Everybody in America hated you at this point. Everybody in America hated you so much. They wanted the Patriots to tie your record or break your record.
Yeah.
That's how much that a team everybody knew was cheating, had Randy Moss, who everybody in America had hated up until that point. They wanted that team to go ahead and break your record. That's how much everybody had grown to hate the 1972 Miami Dolphins and just wanted Mercury Morrison boys to shut the hell up and not be consulted
honestly
ever again. So I'm going to be honest about it here, and I'm not trying to wish anything bad on these people, but as long as there's any members of the 1972 Dolphins still alive, nothing good is ever happening for the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
We are
wait for the last one to check out, huh?
Maybe when the last one of those guys stops popping the champagne bottles because they're all dead, we'll get to eventually see something good happen to the Miami Dolphins again. But until that point, don't have any hope, Dolphins fans. It's never going to happen. Karma's a bitch, and it is taking care of the Miami Dolphins franchise as payback for 1972 and the way those people acted for years. Because, I know people down here like to make that a good story. I remember, every year on the local news, they'd flash down to Shula's Steakhouse, and there'd be 5 of them with their cigars and their bottle of Dom Perignon celebrating the first loss of the year from the last undefeated team. The rest of America thought that was a pretty jerk-off move, if we're being honest about it. Every non-Miami Dolphin fan was like, yeah, there's those guys. They suck. So that's where we're at. Nothing
this could run for a long time, though. I mean,
and move on.
Yeah, the guys that we know that are still around from the 72 team look to be in pretty good shape. I haven't seen Manny Fernandez for a while, but Merck, looks like he could run track right now, for some university. And, a couple of the other guys, Larry Little looks like he's gotten into a decent shape. And Greasy, he never changes.
No, Greasy's going to outlive Lubie, and he's the youngest member of this show.
Because if you have no emotional fiber in your body and you're Bob Greasy, it's very easy to deflect, some of the things that afflict other people.
I don't know if you've seen the picture, but Brian Greasy at this point looks like he's 5 years younger than his father.
If that, yeah. If that. And I have the lasting image of Bob Greasy staring at us when we were doing a trivia challenge out at Shula's before the Larry Little golf tournament. And he's just staring at us while we're on the air for a while. And then we shot it to a break, and he looks at me and he says, "What are you doing out here?" And it was with a, very sarcastic look on his face. What, who the fuck let you in here?
Sarcastic. Lubie and I have done so many remotes where people will walk up to us and we've got the board in front of us and we got headphones on and they want to ask 37 questions about it.
Where's
but my
bathroom?
favorite, and I don't know if someone hung a sign near us, at Gulfstream when we were doing shows, once a week, someone would wander up to us and want to buy a form. Does it look like we're selling freaking forms here? Got an audio mixer in front of us. We're wearing headsets. Does it
we're
look
talking
like we're selling the racing form?
Yeah. No, we've encountered a lot of strange stuff. But that was, I remember the look on his face of audacity. What the hell was I doing there? And I'm trying to think, when did I piss off Bob Greasy? Well, I always had at least a cordially
Honestly,
type of relationship
Defo, that's the nice thing about the big board. If that ever happens to me, I'll know exactly when I pissed off that person.
And maybe next week. Hey, outstanding job as always, Professor.
Bob Greasy wants to go, because I did a joke about you dying last week.
Well, and from a personality standpoint, that may have happened or transpired, long before you even left the Dolphins organization. All right. Professor, thanks very much. Good luck with all your games and enjoy the football games. I'm sure you'll be dabbling in a little NFL in terms of at least viewership and interest. And thanks for being with us. Always a pleasure.
You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Ken, man.
All right, the Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Lawrence going to be coming up here from PlaybookSports.com. I believe Mark is going to be with us. And then Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, as we continue on a Degenerate Friday, also brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, Overseas Highway. Great place to take in the games over the weekend. So if you're in the area
have some discussions with our friends down at the Big Chill. When the season is the best time for Jimmy Johnson. So that's why we haven't gone down yet. They actually forgotten about us. They actually are super excited to have us down there. Just coach between the book and his duties with Fox has just been really busy. So we could go down there whenever, but to have Jimmy on.
Well, we want to get Jimmy Johnson on the show.
Well, obviously. So
It's a
that's
big,
why. So
big thing
they
for
haven't
all of us.
forgotten us. They're excited. Larry, Dom, Amanda, excited to have us.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for the season to end, and then we're going to get down there with Coach and maybe Dave Hyde.
That'd be great. And we'll bring a contingent of people. I'm sure, Sonia will want to go as the official, co-producer, silent producer of the program. Mike Mayo has to go, right?
Yes. We're going to do our shows there.
Because we'll do that show down there, and he can sample some of the stuff. And wow, imagine Mayo eating the Italian fisherman pizza, which I don't know that he knows what to expect, right? Because you know how he is. He has his predestined opinions about things. And then there's a ceiling, and he's always, comparing it to his personal favorites. But I think you have to be open-minded, in this situation. And say, where have I had anything like that, Michael? Right? Like you were talking to Mo Green, my friend. But that surprised me even. I was overwhelmingly impressed with the Italian fisherman pizza. Was I stoned at the time? Probably, but
well, you're always stoned. I don't think I was, and Ken was, and we enjoyed it immensely. And Ken's a harsh.
I couldn't have expected it to be as good as it was, right? Because you look at it, it's not cheap. I mean, by the prices of pizzas today, if you're going to have that kind of quality stuff on it, I mean, we're not talking about a couple of crusty pieces of pepperoni. Talking about lobster that was just in the ocean, and scallops, expensive type of seafood.
Yeah.
So I think it was around $30 for the large, Italian fisherman. But it was worth every cent, man. I mean, you easily could have fed 8 people with the 8 slices, and they all would have gone away satisfied. Because it was that good. All right, Mark Lawrence coming up. I'm sure he would appreciate that also. But
Yes,
Mark Lawrence, man, he's got to be living a dream after last Sunday when all 3 dogs prevailed. Mark Lawrence going to be up with us next year, and then Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, and we'll continue Degenerate Friday in a moment. Now that. Trying to guess what theory Mark will have for us today. It's 8:32.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
All right. Tell me you had it, Mark Lawrence. Tell me you had the ultimate parlay, moneyline parlay, Jets, Bengals. Both teams had to be, 10-1 money line. It hasn't happened since 1973. I think you're probably well aware of that 2 double-digit underdogs have won straight up in the National Football League. So we're talking about 47 years of history. That was erased with this double whammy that took place against the chalk. And many people got buried on that. Tell me you had it. Tell me you had a little taste on the money line. That's a little more like it there, Mike Lubie. We kind of lost connection with the universe there. And good to be back with you here. And also great to be joined on the program, Degenerate Friday, among our favorite segments over the years, has always been with this gentleman because he's done nothing but pick underdogs. And I was thinking of him as we had a veritable three-dog night, right? One is the loneliest number, especially if you're laying it and your team goes down in flames. But the underdogs all prevailed on the Sunday card. Lubie and I kind of revealed our character by wimping out and taking all three favorites on that day in our losing 16 parlay that went 2-4. But this gentleman managed to, I think, cop a 2-1 record on the program last week, only going down with Seattle, I think was one of his picks, as the 49ers covered with a big second half. We welcome to the show from PlaybookSports.com. The great handicapper, world championship handicapper, Mark Lawrence joins us on the show. Mark, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing just terrific, Defo. I hope you enjoyed the games as well as all of our other dog lovers did last week, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, never in doubt with Jacksonville, as they were down 27-zip there in the first half. The one thing you had going for you as an underdog player, though, was Brandon Staley. Would you say that's a fair statement?
I'd say it's a real fair statement. As you mentioned, that it's rather a little bit ironic if you consider what happened last week in the NFL football playoffs. All the talk in the National Football League this year, I shouldn't say all the talk, but a majority of the talk has been about the analytical head coaches.
Yes.
And how they're changing the way of the game and so forth and whatnot. Well, take a look at what happened last weekend. 3 of the 4 most analytical head coaches were one and done in the playoffs.
Right.
One was the LA Chargers with Brandon Staley. You can take a look also down here in South Florida, Mike McDaniel.
Right.
And also in Minnesota. And what happened was with Kevin O'Connell, and if you break down their numbers in the football game, look at their rush attempts to pass attempts. They were staggeringly weighted to the pass to throwing the football.
Right.
The Chargers threw the ball 43 times. They rushed it only 23. The Vikings threw it 40 times. They rushed it only 16. And worst of all, the Dolphins threw the ball 45 times and rushed it only 10 times.
Wow.
Teams who win in the National Football League playoffs they're heavy to the run. They're successful in getting to the playoffs because they were that way during the season and throughout the course of the playoffs. It happens again. So was I surprised to see these 3 analytical head coaches get a pink slip? No, not at all. So moving forward, I think the lesson here is that you want to focus in on coaches that make the running game a priority and not so much airing the ball out and passing it.
That was one of Lubie's biggest criticisms of Mike McDaniel all year, and we've heard other people say the same thing. The temptation obviously being there to throw the football, but when you have your third-string quarterback in there, nice to be able to at least attempt to run the ball. And obviously, as you stated, I mean, and as evidenced by your usual outstanding trend mathematics and analytics on your own, it doesn't work. So you would think the analytic guys would work that into the. Why don't they contact you for your numbers, Mark Lawrence? Why are they paying all of these people on their own staff to bury them when they could contact you and they could have said, "Hey, Mike, run the ball, huh? Just run the football."
Then every underdog would win the game. That's probably why they wouldn't do that.
We did ask the question last week, and I think it's a universal question, and it became applicable once again as. We were saying, at what point will backers of the Vikings laying 3 points against the New York Giants start screaming from wherever they are, whether they're at the game or watching on TV in a bar somewhere, fuck the Vikings? Because the Vikings always screw up in these spots. It's amazing. And that was one of your plays, the New York Giants last week. Now, where the Giants, that was the most impressive I've seen them of the, infrequent times I've seen the Giants play. Well, they look razor sharp in that game. And is that an indicator that they're very much alive again this week, in your opinion? The same thing, I guess, could be said of the Cowboys as dogs. So what do you think about this week's card? Very confusing for me with the numbers involved.
Well, I think there's a similar pattern in the Eagles-Giants game this week as there was last week in the Giants-Vikings game. And you have the New York Giants coming into the game, as you mentioned, playing their best football of the season. Minnesota playing crappy football all season long.
Yeah.
Philadelphia playing their worst football of the season here coming into this football playoffs. What Philadelphia did at the beginning of the season is nothing close to the way they're playing right now. They've lost the money 4 straight games in a row. Jalen Hurts is nowhere close to what he was when he was in the MVP talk in the National Football League. And I think this makes an opportune case or chance for the New York Giants in this game. You know, it's amazing, Defo. If you break down the Giants this season, thus far this year, they've been involved in 14 one-score games.
Wow.
And 14. That's a staggering number.
Jeez.
And in those games, they were 12-1-1 against the spread when they kept the game within 1 score.
Wow.
And I can see nothing but another similar pattern evolving here in this particular football game. I don't see the Philadelphia Eagles opening things up or suddenly pushing that button and all of a sudden saying, okay, we're going to play some good football here today. I got to make the Philadelphia Eagles. That would be my play that I would give you today on the card for the weekend would be the New York Giants plus the points over the Eagles.
All right, very good. Any thoughts on any of the other games with regard to either side or total? Any leanings that you feel are significant enough to make your position correct?
Well, there's some notes here. I go in looking first of all to make the case for the underdog, okay, and I go to the Kansas.
Of course,
City
yeah.
Looking at the Jacksonville side of the equation here, and the first thing that jumps off the page to me is the fact that Andy Reid, number one, he's on that famous bye week of his, which he's been fantastic in his career, extra week to prepare. But beyond that, his 19 wins that he's had in the playoffs, 15 of those have been by double-digit margins. And it makes it rather queasy to want to back a Jacksonville football team who rallied, from the clouds last week to win their football game to make this spot here. So just knowing Andy Reid's trait and one, he's got time to prepare. 2, he crunches teams that can be crunched. That keeps me out of that particular football game. And I realize in Jacksonville, you got a head coach here in Doug Peterson that's never lost to the spread in the postseason as an underdog. He's been there 6 times. He's cashed all 6 times. There's some nice cases to be made there for Jacksonville, but I'm going to stay out of that game largely because of Andy Reid.
Oh, all right. Very good. We were leaning. I thought that game might be a 9 or a 10-point spread when it first hit. Because of the mad scramble that Jacksonville was involved in, thinking that I don't know that they're going to be able to. They certainly wouldn't be able to get away with the slop that they exhibited in the first half against the Kansas City team coached by Andy Reid in these spots, as evidenced by your research. Like they did against the Chargers, coached by Brandon Staley, who. However, he's applying his mathematical permutations. They obviously don't add up in the end. All right, playbooksports.com. You guys had the playoff guide out, and I would imagine, are just all over college basketball right now. You got March Madness still straight ahead and many other things happening on the athletic slate, NBA. How can people get more of your information with Playbook Sports?
Everything we're doing, Defo, is available online at playbooksports.com. If you subscribe to any of our publications or any of my services, I send you the Daily Coffee Club in your email each and every day. It's a nice little overview of what's going on from a wagering perspective.
It's that in the New York Post for me. Those 2 things are must-reads early in the morning. I love getting that cup of coffee. Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that. And when the Coffee Club overtakes the New York Post, I know we'll have made it to that point.
Well, it's certainly more affordable, I can say, than having the actual post delivered to the house, which is a luxury, that every year the Mustang gives me that look like, do you really need to get this paper? But what she doesn't realize is, being old school, I can't have a bowel movement without a newspaper in my hand. Just can't do it.
I'm right with you. I'm on the toilet right next to you. Exactly.
You're in the next stall. Hey, could you just pass the racing form when you're doing it? That's great. Yes. All right. Playbooksports.com, though. I mean, you won't be in the toilet with this because this is really good stuff. And that's all you have to do is log on to the website.
Just log on to the website and a lot of great information up there. And you can check out information like I just passed along to you about those coaches and the way they break things down. We have a new feature called the Win Report.
Wow.
It's really great information. It contains stats and things like that. It's what's important now is what our acronym for WIN is, and it's all prevalent to what's going on the card these days. It's called the Win Report. You can check it out at playbooksports.com.
No, that was great. I mean, just tremendous research there with the three coaches, with the analytics and how they're up Schitt's Creek. All right, thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Good luck, Mr. Lawrence.
And, good luck with your selections. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you again next week.
We'll catch you next championship week, and you guys have a great week. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, sounds good. Mark Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to bring you the Gambling Gourmet. What, in just a couple of seconds here, Mike Lubie? We'll do that.
Whatever you want to do. We can take a break, or we can go right to him. He's there. Whatever you want to do.
All right, yeah. Let's take a short time out to promote some of the great things that are going on with our sponsors, including I'm very excited about this thing now becoming more definitive with Jimmy at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and I really am. I will be amazed. I will be stunned if Mayo isn't overwhelmed by the Italian fisherman pizza, and I believe that should be the first thing that he tries. No.
The problem is we loved it because we knew nothing about it and we were confused, and it caught us off guard. You've talked about this for 2 fucking years. So I don't know if anything can live up. It's why Citizen Kane is really because you've heard it's the greatest movie ever. Then you watch and you're like,
yeah, it was a piece of shit. Citizen Kane. What are you talking about? I would rather watch a Pauly Shore movie than Citizen Kane. God. Honestly, any XXX feature at the Civic Follies in Syracuse was much more worth your time and consumption. All right, the Gambling Gourmet. We'll get them out there. I want them to try other stuff too, though. I really do.
That was great.
One thing about Mike, you don't have to encourage him to bring his appetite. So we'll get down there and we'll see what he thinks. But I think he's going to be amazed by this thing. All right, back with the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Is he all right today? I mean, what disease does he have today? Does he think he has, brain cancer or something? It's 8:47.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
All right, so you have the poem. Let's do it.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I got DQ'd from the late double. Sorry, no champagne or caviar for you.
Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, ladies and gentlemen.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, speaking of degenerates on a Degenerate Friday, we welcome one of our favorite degenerates. And, of course, he is the host of the hit show on South Florida Live, which is Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Later on today, Lubie and Michael will be out at Gulfstream Park in our usual location there. I have to, unfortunately, abstain here. I'll join you guys on the video if you'd like. And
absolutely.
It's always fun.
But we might have a special guest sitting in at Gulfstream on the track.
Oh, beautiful. Nicky Moorhead. Yeah.
No, I heard from Brian at Wicked Cheesesteaks. I think.
Oh, beautiful.
He's gonna take the day off. He might be out there.
Nice.
He's looking for a winner. So give me do a little handicapping the next 2 hours.
Yeah,
I want to give him something that's live. I think Luca has a live one in the 4th race. I kind of like. We'll see.
Get his opinion on what he thinks of the cheesesteak that they serve there. That would be appropriate, right? Because he is a master of making cheesesteaks.
Busman's holiday. Hey, well, first of all, speaking of food and cheesesteaks, I got my Italian fisherman lobster mug here
Oh,
in
nice.
honor of hopefully the impending trip down to Jimmy Johnson's.
I'm curious to
in the
get your
Keys.
reaction to this thing. I
Well,
really am.
all right, and you know how. And first of all, I'm feeling almost 100% again. You could see
You
that,
sound a little, like stuffed up.
Kinda
Worse
nasally.
than me.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm congested. I'm kind of like you, Defo, but I'm feeling better today.
Hey, you
Oh, good.
sound
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
my head isn't like a bowling ball. I'm still full of piss and vinegar and mad at the world. But
Well, how did you get sick? You just convinced yourself you were sick? I mean, you don't
She
think it's
felt you.
psychosomatic?
there's so much shit going around. You got to understand. We're in that tri-wave. That besides the COVID, which you have, there's that the flu is going around. There's
Yeah.
that, what is it? That HPV, not HPV. It's like some respiratory. No, HRSV. I don't know. But everybody's traveling from the Northeast. They all coming down here now.
Oh,
and
he was at
everybody's-
events every day last week. Wednesday,
Last
Thursday,
week we were
Friday,
in those
Saturday,
crap.
Sunday,
Yeah.
and then he went to the casino Saturday and Sunday.
Right, and then
He
the
asked me
COVID,
to get something.
that room at the barbecue battle where up front because it was cold and
Oh, yeah.
everybody was like crammed together in this it was a nice room, but when you have I don't know, like 400 people jammed together, that's kind of a breeding ground for everything.
Right.
But
And they're
but
all
yeah,
chewing and breathing and blowing particles of food in your face because they get too close to you. And you know it's coming, right? The big glop of food that's coming out there. All right. So this sounds good. So you guys will be at the track. I wish I
but
could
wait,
be out there.
wait.
And you
wanna
have
get
the
into-
lobster, what is that? Lobster ravioli in a cup today? What are you doing?
No, I had a cup of coffee. I'm trying to
Oh,
wake
okay.
up, but
Lobster
there was
ravioli.
no school. My daughter didn't have school, so I didn't have to wake up at 6 a.m., which was good for me.
Yeah.
But no, when you say Italian fisherman pizza, when I first heard it, I made a little mayo face, and I'm still kind of trying to get over here's what I picture when you say Italian fisherman pizza. I see like clam
Some old
shells.
carger schlepping over a pizza.
Well, yeah, like a Gordon's, what is it? The Gordon's of Gloucester, the hat,
Right.
that yellow
And a
cap. I see that perched
raincoat
on the
on.
pizza. I see
Yeah.
some fish hooks. I see some netting,
No,
some kelp and
it's not corny.
seaweed,
No,
some
no.
smelts and
It's
sardines.
Nothing like that, man.
Like
They're
just
not into
shells,
that
like
game.
not even filled with clams, but like just empty clam shells scattered atop.
So something. It sounds like something Dave Wanstadt wanted to serve to the media. When he was offering the free pizza.
And speaking of Wani, okay, I've got to take issue. with
You have a
okay?
story where Wanstadt? No,
No, I have a story. I'm pissed at you because you keep bragging
Me?
on my you keep bragging on my man Jay Fiedler. And all right, answer me this trivia question. Who is the only quarterback to lead the Miami Dolphins to a playoff victory this century?
That'd be Jay Fiedler. No, I'm a Jay Fiedler fan.
Remember, and who did he beat in that game?
Seattle.
No, Peyton
No, no, no,
Manning, all-time great,
Peyton Manning,
overtime win against the Colts in December 2019.
No, Jay, he had a bum shoulder when he got here. But of the quarterbacks they had post Marino, it fell, and I don't know, maybe, Tua obviously has had better seasons than Jay Fiedler put together. But Fiedler didn't have a whole lot to work with when he was here, and he had a bum shoulder after he left the Jacksonville Jaguars, which he looked brilliant in that 62-7 game. I mean, you would have been sold on the idea that he was going to lead the team to the promised land.
yeah,
Plus, he was a nice
came in-
guy.
I
real
liked
good guy.
him. Actually,
And he was Jewish, which
Jewish from Long Island, and his father ran a camp that my cousin
was a coach.
my cousin was a counselor, a longtime staff member, and knew Kenny Fiedler, Jay's dad,
All right.
very well. So they were
Good guy too. I met him a couple of times there. I got to do a few things with Jay Fiedler, so it was always a good relationship. It's just that it was what the people that built their hopes on. You love this kind of stuff, Mayo, being the cynic that you are, and I'm right there with you. Where they become spiteful and hateful of the very person they want to be their savior. And so, and everybody was always, calling and all verklempt about the fact that, and our quarterback is Jay Fiedler. And you're like, what do you want from the poor guy, man? He never said he was Johnny Unitas. I mean,
but
for
for an Ivy League quarterback from Dartmouth,
he threw the javelin, man. He was like a decathlete. That was his other claim to fame, which I can't. No Jew could conceive of being a decathlete. Would you say that that's a fair statement? Unless Jim Thorpe was Jewish, which I don't believe he was. But I mean, could you do any of that stuff? I mean,
No.
Lubie, could you pole vault?
If
Mayo,
they had
could you stick a pole in a hole
No,
while
no.
running with like this giant fucking fiberglass pole
I'm not
and
doing any of that garbage.
have it hit a hole and then vault yourself over a barn? It's like even 10 feet in the air. Are you kidding me?
I'm not even trying that.
if they
And
had
land
a,
successfully without killing yourself.
If they had a decathlon for hypochondria, I'd definitely be a medalist. I could do a COVID
That
test
you could
while
do,
I'm
yeah.
doing a, having my pulse oximeter at the same time,
When
and
it's all
probably
over,
get
you got
tested for.
you got to run a mile like you're Jim Ryan or something. I mean, it's crazy. Nobody could do
Yeah.
it. Long jump, I'm never very good at that. I would think.
No, I'm not good. Hey, I have a question because I got to
Yeah.
figure. I figured out this week's contest restaurant, and I've got my clues. What I haven't figured out is which race. Tomorrow they have one stakes race, and it's like a $75,000 or whatever turf thing. But there's only 7 horses. There's another like maiden special that actually has a higher purse with 11 horses. What should we make?
You make the rules for the contest, so.
Would you rather have the race that has more?
I would go with the stakes race with the 7 horses because some of those horses might be more familiar to the people, the general racing public or whatever, and B, this gives more people a chance to have the right answer all the way through, and maybe a better chance at the
more
the shake
names
for the prize.
in the hat. We love having names in the hat on Monday to break the tiebreaker on the lunchbox.
11 horse field maiden races this time of the year.
Yeah,
that's a tough call, right?
Well, usually you just bet Pletcher because he's bringing out all his heavy hitters now. So it actually might be a more even and better betting race in the 7 horse field because it looked like everybody is between 5-2 and 4-1 as opposed to the maiden race. It looks like there's 2 Pletcher horses that are going to be heavily favored. So
go with the shorter field. I would say go with the shorter field.
We'll go with
less
the stakes
challenging
race,
on that end.
and we'll have all the details on the lunchbox. Meanwhile, are you just sitting in rapt anticipation of my NFL playoff selection?
Yeah, I mean that was great. I don't think you can go 0-10.
No,
I don't believe
I'm 0-6 though. I'm 4 away.
And here's your problem. I believe this week we psychoanalyze you all the time on the show because you
don't
are
do
a
that.
strange cat.
Yeah.
But you do have basic gambling instincts and also unfortunately defects, which is that now that you went 0-6, it's a distinction. So you're going to try to go 0-10, and because you're going to deliberately try to pick losers, I believe you're going to come up with at least 2 winners, or at least one. At least one. It's gonna fuck you up.
I'm not deliberately trying. I am trying. I'm just handicapping the games like everybody else.
This is you're trying to pick the winner,
and it sounded like Mark Lawrence was dangerously close to actually like picking a favorite in Kansas City, but he can't just bring.
No, he started to choke. Did you hear that?
He just is saying he can't play it because heaven forbid he
thinks they're going to cover, and I believe Kansas City will cover also. I do,
and I do too. That's in my Mayo actual picks.
Oh, okay. So that's
Kansas City, Buffalo, New York Giants, the G-Men, and the San Francisco 49ers are my actual picks. Like I'm trying to win the games. And will I go 4-0? Or you can do the reverse Mayo, which last week would have gotten you 48-1 on a 16 parlay because I went 0-6. And so this week's the reverse Mayo would be Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Dallas.
You did something that came in at 50-1.
The reverse.
Think about that. Yeah, of course. How great is that?
Opposite. It's great.
But I mean, would you ever be inclined to do that? I mean, it seems so deflating. Where you make your bet and then you bet the exact opposite.
I wish at the racetrack at a Gulfstream today they offered the reverse exacta offerings, the 2 horses that finished last and next to last.
That's tough to pick though.
Me and you in the Derby, we had it last year or something like that. I think we had the 19th and 20th horses. You gave out it was 2 years ago, Soup and Sandwich, and I loved another one.
No, we had 2 pieces of shit. It was bad. We've had our share of success in the Derby, believe it or not. Including a score that will be unlikely to be eclipsed anytime soon, and that was the Country House disqualification of Maximum Security.
Right,
and so we got put up in a trifecta that went from paying $3,000 to like $11,000 for $1, which was great. But, that doesn't happen that often. But, if you do hit the Derby, you usually make a score that's good for a few years.
Yeah.
Of Derby bets. Yeah.
All those that's why we love those big racing days. You get big fields, and sometimes the favorites are overbet, and you just got to find the false favorites and just key on a couple of horses that are in that 10-1 range. You can come home.
Lubie had a 20-1 shot. Who was that horse that you had? The
Animal Kingdom. I did the Polyman.
Oh, Animal Kingdom. Yeah.
At the Derby. That was really at the Derby.
Right. People thought he was crazy, man. He went to the
only one that won. Everyone had like 20 different bets. I was the only one that went with the Polyman, and it won. It was great.
Yeah.
Polyman had some kind of weird,
like 4 or 5 years.
transcendental connection with the Derby.
So here's the thing. I say instead of going on this quixotic ban Luigi play from NFL games, which it's not going to happen because it's a valid play. It's too bad that your team is a bunch of Three Stooge idiots that's going to fuck everything up. But I say we should go around lobby for racetracks to offer the reverse exacta because they have all these in-race betting.
I'm surprised they haven't. Yeah, I'm really surprised they haven't.
Offer a pool of who's going to finish last and next to last, and it would be great.
And it's great too because maybe they're like two horses plodding home that you don't even know if either of them are going to, finish or pull up. Maybe even before the finish, they've essentially pulled themselves up, and now you have to watch them battle to the wire just in case somebody else starts dropping back, and you got to pay attention to the very end of the race. It'll be great. I don't know if you try. See, this is what I was fearing that you would deliberately try to pick 4 losers for the viewers out there.
Oh, I'm trying to pick 4
because
winners.
you wanted the distinction of being 0-10, which is very, very. I mean, it's next to impossible.
I'm a man
to
of
do.
integrity. I'm trying to pick winners, and we'll see what happens.
All right. So you have KC, you have Buffalo, you have the Giants, and the 49ers.
Yep, that's my real picks.
Where are you going to be? Shenanigans? Or are you going to be Christine Lee's? You're going to be on.
I don't know where I'm going to be. Originally, I thought I was going to be at Shenanigans tomorrow, but then somebody scratched. I've got a cousin coming in from New York, and he's a big Giants fan. We're going to watch the game together somewhere. We might be down.
What about your brother now? Is he a Giants fan also?
No, we grew up. It was a very strange house. We liked football, but we didn't live and die with the local teams, even though the Giants were good in that period of time in the 90s. I don't know. We always just liked watching football. I was a Kansas City Chiefs fan growing up. For some
Chiefs were a cool team to root for. Yeah.
Fun, right?
So I'll still be a Chiefs fan, and I like Andy Reid. So what's not to
Len
like?
Dawkins, man. I mean, he was a classy guy. Didn't they have like Otis Taylor on the outside?
Yeah. By the way, speaking of dead people, because Len Dawson is dead. Did anybody have David Crosby in the dead pool?
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet. The results are not. And somebody might have had Gina Lola Bridgeter, which would have eliminated the David Crosby guy from making a hit. Imagine somebody checks out like 2 days before your guy. How frustrating is that? You lose by half a length. Yeah, it's not good. But I would imagine I'm thinking somebody had Crosby.
Yeah, he seems like a guy who would be in play. Just
very much in play, right? I mean, he was 100 pounds overweight for the last 25 years.
I didn't realize he was already like 81, 82, and that he's also had heart issues, diabetes.
You think he did a little bit of the coca leaf during that?
Yeah, he did everything. Well, no, he quit the drugs. He was a major cocaine and heroin user in the 70s, and then I guess cleaned up his act a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, but anyway, I used to. Look, like
I wore that first Crosby, Stills and Nash album out. I mean, it was popular just as I was transitioning from high school into college, and so you were incurring, and that was at the height of the hippy dippy era. This huge awakening was taking place all around the country with kids that age, and Crosby, Stills and Nash were a lot of the theme music for a lot, much of that.
Do you include Young, or just Young was not in it enough?
Young came along later, but I remember the album with Wooden Ships on it, which I think was the first offering by Crosby, Stills, and Nash in terms of a record, and all of the songs on there were great.
I didn't realize he was in the Byrds because that was like a little bit before I was born. It was that mid-'60s, and I came along in the 66, and then I had an awareness of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I don't know. Did Neil Young and Crosby ever patch things up? Did they talk to each other at the end? Because didn't they hate each other?
I don't know. That I don't know.
That makes me sad.
It's kind of like Glenn Fry checking out there, and Henley, and him ended up hating each other. I think for a while.
Yeah, kind of like me and Shula. I never did patch things up with Shula. So.
You have to think
I was willing, but
to his grave, you never took the time to pick up the phone and just send a text and apologize for being rude to him. Unbelievable. Doubting that the 72 team was undefeated.
It was strictly business.
Yeah. Well, it was good that George Santos. I was posting this.
He was the placeholder. Could you believe that?
Yeah. Wasn't he holding for your Premian?
When Premian had that gag play, George Santos was on the field.
Santos was on the field there. He was about to make a tackle. Otherwise, Washington would have won the Super Bowl that year. I put up a stupid thing on Facebook. I said, I don't remember George Santos being at my bar mitzvah. But if he says so, who am I to dispute it, right? I mean,
can you believe we're at the mercy of this clown car full of, McCarthy and the whole lot to avert a global financial meltdown. Like they don't, nothing that they put forward is going to get approved by the Senate or signed. But but that's not the issue. Is we have to get the House approval to raise the debt ceiling, and with them just being sticks in the mud,
Nero Fiddle, man.
And how is that a winning election strategy down the road? Because everybody knows that it's your fault. Like that everybody's 401ks is going to be suddenly a 101k.
And he suggests that that Santos also. Not Jose Santos, but George actually rode like Secretariat, I think.
And he had one of those buzzers, too, that Clark Spencer reported about. Or no, it was Frank Carlson.
All right, we got to get out of here. You guys enjoy your trip down to the track. I'll miss you guys, but I'll connect with you about 12 o'clock. And special guest on the program. That ought to be a lot of fun. So
we'll see if he finds us. Hopefully he makes it out. Brian texted me, and I'd love to see him out and relaxing for a day. I'll try to give him a winner. I'll just make it easy. I'll give him a $4.60 winner, Defo.
Very nice. I mean, whatever. I mean, whoever wins the race. That's
you're absolutely right. When people start fetching about it's not good enough.
What else could you have given him? If you gave him another horse, it would have lost. I mean, that's
right.
So it might have been 20-1, but
you can't control the price, even though you gave it out to half the world, and that's why it's $4.60 if you kept your mouth shut.
No, everybody knew about Game On Dude that day. Second time starter, and I mean, my buddy Cliff, he usually had some pretty decent information from the backstretch, and and he handled a lot of good jockeys during his jockey agent career. Elvis Trujillo was his first guy, and that really made it big. And they made a pretty good score together before they finally broke up. And he brought in a bunch of other guys that have been successful at both Gulfstream and now other tracks around the country. But so what? I mean, everybody knew about it. What are you going to do, man? The horse looked good anyway. I mean, it wasn't like you couldn't come up with it on your own.
You gave a winner. That's it. You did your job. You were a tout and a winning tout at that.
Hopefully you'll go 4-0. All right, you guys have fun. I'm glad you're feeling better there, Michael. And we'll see you guys at 12 o'clock today on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox. All right, great being with you. Lubie, have a good time. And catch you guys later on as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.